their notice of intent, and we're willing to provide input on their waste management plan. I don't like the fact that there's no deadlines or notice when your first meetings are, any of that in here.
It's very fluid, I think, right now. But with the board's permission, we can inquire. This Theo Edgermont appears to be the contact person. We can inquire as to what they're going to be up to, when, and what they would like to get from us.
Well, I think we need to find out the structure of the planning committee, and we probably need to, if we're going to put together a subcommittee to have input, we probably need to have this on our agenda for next month's meeting. Once we find out
More details.
well, more of what they're expecting of us.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we have a request from the Natural Features Committee to do this doesn't look very nice here, but the actual brochure looks a whole lot better. And in addition to that, there are two letters in your packet that the Natural Features Committee wishes to have us send out to one, property owners along the natural rivers, and two, a letter to known landscapers that work within the township. There's some costs involved in it. It's fairly minor. It's approximately $500. Shelley, you want to speak to this?
This isn't new. They did this before as part of the master plan. We have established a natural rivers district, which is basically working to preserve the watershed. And in this Huron Rivers District, these are, the pamphlet outlines the ways that residents on that district could do some things that would, improve the waterways and preserve the property where they are. This was sent out before. We just really updated the brochure, made it prettier. It's already gone to the Planning Commission. They approved it. So you just have the brochure, and then you have an example of a letter that's going to say, "Dear business owner," or "Dear property owner." And we're sending it to business owners so that when they sell a property or show a property, they can let people know that this is on the Natural Rivers District and what that is. So we just need approval to, for the cost of $500, and to send this out.
How many landowners are on the list in the Natural Rivers District?
Did we say there were like 130-ish?
I think there's more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill was going to run the list for us, so we haven't seen it yet. And we also generated a spreadsheet of local business owners.
And how many is that?
It's not.
It was pretty sizable, I think, about 30.
Yeah, we searched around.
So most of the cost is the printing or
Yeah.
postage?
Well, postage is a factor today. The last time we did this, it was not much of a factor.
Yeah.
It's twice.
Right, the times have changed.
I think that here in the Watershed Council actually printed these for us last time at their cost. So what we're looking for is a motion to approve the mailing of the 2 letters and printing of the brochure, the updated brochure.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Tony, roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Standby generator. We talked about that in a little while.
It's come to our attention, there are a lot of days that we've not been able to open the hall, function, work, because of power outages. Either weather-induced or sometimes they cut our power lines when they're working around here, that sort of thing. And we also have a need to, and I realize that this is 2 years out, but we need to keep functioning efficiently if we're having an election and for some reason we have no power.
That's why we got you all those extra batteries.
Well, so what we had planned, what we had thought we would get approval from the board is to have at least 3 of the local contractors look at our needs and give us a quote for the generator that they think would supply what we have here.
You want the entire building, or
That's,
just minimal?
I think that would be up to the board. We need to function as a township.
Okay, our last estimate for basically part of the building, not including air conditioning, was $50,000
Okay.
for a generator. If you wish the entire building, we've got a good idea because we bought the generator over next door. It's probably going to be in terms of about 150. And it's all because of the air conditioners. It's horrible.
And I wonder, do we need to reassess that after construction is completed? I mean, because now that's gonna be a voting area rather, not just here, right?
Yeah, that's going to have to be climate controlled somehow. We talked about mini splits and so on. I haven't actually seen anything in terms of mechanical for that part. That would be an appropriate time to reassess it. We know what the cost was, 3 years ago when we last investigated it. But that was only half the building. It did not include anything with the fire hall or air conditioning.
Well, we can probably, I would think we could get quotes for both and see, then bring it back to the board and see what their appetite is for installing that. It really is something that we should think about and we should do, given how many out days we have. So we can't work, we can't open the hall. The phones don't ring.
I thought that was pretty good.
I thought that was great.
And that's not true, did they all ring to like Sharp's phone or
They
something?
do.
It's fine.
And Henry is taking issue with this, I guess, I don't know.
And he has the standby generator, so
Yes.
no problem whatsoever.
So, I don't know what we need to do, from somebody with this, to give us authorization to just get some quotes, get some
We can
people.
get quotes without any type of
Okay.
authorization.
Okay. Go ahead and-
It's a matter of timing. I think we need to have a look at the new mechanical systems for that. All we have at this point is a floor plan.
Mhm.
But definitely crossed our mind on voting day this year.
Yes.
I was asking questions like, what are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do, yeah.
I don't think the last election required that, but the next one may.
Yes.
Okay. What's this about? I've fallen and can't get up.
You know, that we have had requests now at this last election and apparently at the prior election. We get our security person to sit out and sort of keep an eye on both areas, the people going through back to the fire hall from precinct 3 and the folks coming in here. The election inspectors are very uneasy about any situation that might develop after they've passed by the security person. And they would like to have some sort of a panic button so that they could, if they felt something was happening or developing, they could push their panic button, and that this would then call the person who sits, usually Mr. Goodman, who sits out front, to their precinct to observe what's going on and whether it warrants calling the sheriff's office or what.
My answer is always call the sheriff.
Always call the sheriff.
Yes. And
Well, but they want to be able to, that's a discussion between you and Mr. Goodman. They want to be able to call Mr. Goodman to their
Right.
session. And one of these inexpensive systems could do that. They would simply have the fob at their table or at a couple of their stations. And if they press it, then Mr. Goodman would come back to their precinct, either back here to the fire hall or into this room and see what was going on.
Okay, now tell me about this system that we have in front of us. Would Mr. Goodman or Bill or whoever carry the square?
I don't think
Device?
so. No, I think it would just simply be someplace they could see it. If you recall, Mr. Goodman, at the last election, and I don't know if this is standard operating or not, he sat at that front desk and just watched the people coming through. So we could have one there, we could have one where Bill sees it, one of these alert cubes.
I don't think this requires any board approval or whatever to do this.
Okay.
This is just something we can order. We probably need to have our crack shoppers look at how the pager works, how it's powered, and what kind of warning it gives.
Okay.
And 500 foot would cover, any place in the building, just not the entire parking lot.
Well, the parking lot would be, I don't anticipate our security people wandering around the parking lot.
Well, they do,
They do.
yeah.
Okay.
They want to get a look at everybody.
Well, I didn't know what the board thought about this. Mr. Scharf sent out an email with it looked like a very expensive monitoring company.
I didn't
You
receive that.
didn't get it, maybe it went to your junk folder because it had an attachment.
Okay.
But, so I don't know how the board feels about this, something inexpensive. I don't know if you would prefer to consider something that's more extensive, but our inspectors want to be able to call security to their tables in the building.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, election security and the safety of the election workers is of utmost importance, and their comfort and feeling safe
Right.
is part of that.
Mhm.
How do you accomplish that? You know, it could be a simple system or something much more elaborate. But as John mentioned, if there's an issue, they just need to, someone needs to dial 911.
Right, but they have to call that someone because the law says that they have to stay at their tables while the polls are open. So we need to give them the security of feeling that they can call someone if they feel a situation is developing.
Well, I think that, you know, something like this might be a good idea because it gets some immediate response from right here. The 911, I haven't been happy with the coverage that we've had from the sheriff's department. They are supposed to run the last 5 or so elections because things have been so contentious countrywide. They have assigned an extra person to the 3, to City of Dexter and to Dexter Township and us. And some election years we haven't even seen them drive to the parking lot. They're readily available because they're all within the area, in addition to our regular contracted personnel. But I think that something to put the election workers' mind at ease is certainly worth this kind of investment.
So we can go ahead and like you say, assign our crack shoppers to check
Look into it further and see range and,
okay, and then we could do this as if the board has an appetite for something more expansive, we could do something like this small purchase as a stopgap measure for this next election.
yeah, you don't need to come to the board
Okay,
for that.
we'll just go ahead.
Authorized to do
Okay.
something this size.
Okay. I will take care of that.
You know who our crack shoppers are.
I do.
Okay. Formation of a roads subcommittee. We received a updated version of the January 12, 2020 email, and it was almost starting to work. I think that now we have a dedicated road millage, is the time to put together a standing road committee. I would think that we would want to lean on Luke Kidder from Scioto Township as to how to best structure that, and we should get a recommendation from him on how to set up our committee. But in the meantime, there's no reason why we can't make inroads with Matt McDonald from the Road Commission to tell them, hey, we're coming at you, and we need a plan, and we wish to participate in which roads are picked, not have you pick our roads. I would like to come back to this body with some input from Mr. Kidder, if it's available, and figure out how to structure our road plan.
Could we ask Mr. Sedander to do that?
What's that?
Could we ask Mr. Sedander to sort of spearhead that? Because
Do you want to volunteer to steer that?
I was gonna say, I'd volunteer, I'm happy to, yes,
Do you know Blue Kidder at all?
yeah.
Okay. We need to get in touch with him and give me a call and we'll try to get that set up. And I can make the committee set up, and we get, tell them that there's some money available for us to improve our roads, and he'll be very cooperative.
Fair enough.
Was he at Dexter, was that the person who was at the forum? I don't know Matt McDonald's title.
He's operating director of the Washington County Road Committee.
I think he was at the forum, and he asked us, and somebody asked us about our road, so he does know that we had a road millage on the, so it won't be a surprise to him. Somebody asked us if this was common, and he asked me a lot of questions about it, and he happened to be in the audience, so he stood up and answered them, which was really helpful, actually. If that's who Matt McDonald is, I think it is him, but, so yeah, he,
Yeah, it's a great step to help us with our roads plan, for sure. Get this one.
Okay, Tony?
Credit card policy?
Yeah.
I would like, first of all, let me back up a bit. The law says that if we use a credit card, we must have a policy in place as a municipality. And I did some, quite a while ago when I was the deputy for Mr. Sharp, I did some research into this, and what you're seeing here is a sample policy. The policy that I crafted based on that sample policy. There are a number of areas where we would have to fill in the blanks when it comes to spending limits and that sort of thing. Since it's 10:30, what I would like to have you do as a board is look it over and decide what your recommendations might be. We're here to answer questions, and then we'll raise it again for actual adoption or amendment or whatever at the September meeting.
Other than format, how does this differ from our existing policy?
We don't have one. We don't have one.
Are you sure?
Well, we've looked through the resolutions and the policies, and I'm not finding one. So,
So, Tony, is this to have a, like a corporate card, if you will? Or is this for anybody that you're buying, you know, the fob things and you use your own credit card?
no, that's
So it's a corporate card?
yes, we do have a corporate card that we are using to order supplies, to pay bills, certain bills that will allow you to pay without fees, on the credit card, that sort of thing, to cut down on some check writing expenses. So yes, we do have a corporate card. Yes, we are using it. I have not been able to find a policy.
Well, certainly,
We need one.
well, we had one.
We did.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. It's not on the server.
I have not been able to find it.
Okay.
Barbara did.
Because before we had the first credit card, we had a discussion of how it was going to be used and limits and so on. And when we did the first credit card, it had to be in Mary D's name. It couldn't be just simply Webster Township.
Okay.
And that's why Barb's name was on the old one.
Mhm.
But we had rules on.
On the usage?
Mhm.
There might have been, I don't know, was it a formally adopted policy? I just
I
cannot
thought it
find
was.
it. I'll look again, but this is just the
Okay,
most.
this is obviously a template from the MTA,
Right.
and basically all we need to do is fill in blanks and decide limits on how much can be used for.
And who's in,
And who can use it.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's all we need to do. But in order to give everyone time to think about it, I think we should put it off till next month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it possible you could mail the Word version of this? I had a lot of comments about it.
Okay.
But if you just email me the Word version, I can fix the formatting, and then I can just put my comments in there, and you can do
Okay.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be fine, I appreciate it, Shelley.
Yeah.
Okay, 11/24, 12/24.
Yes, we need to correct the resolution, the numbering of our resolutions. And Mrs. Whitney thought we should bring it to the board to at least notify you that we found that we had 2 resolutions numbered 11/24. So we need permission to renumber them to
Well,
12.
only one of them needs to be changed.
Well, and yes, don't we have, actually, we have several.
So it's at the bottom here.
Yeah, it's
This was,
12, 11, 24,
the first one.
that's the first one. Okay. So the first 11/24 was adopting the part, no, it was the AC,
The AD County Board.
the 80 County Board for the August 6th election. That was a little before my time. Then the second 11/24 was adopting the park master plan, which will now be 12/24. And then 12/24 will become 13/24. And that was the delegation of the election commission duties to the clerk's office. These are kinds of housekeeping things.
So do you need a motion to change
Yeah.
the 2 names? Okay, I move that we change the first 11/24, which is the park, I guess the second 11/24, which is the parks management plan,
Okay.
to 12/24. And we move the delegation from 12/24 to 13/24.
Second.
Okay, I don't know if it requires a roll call, but we'll do it anyway. Shelley?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Correspondence?
You'll find me here that we have a letter from one of our residents asking us to take over trash collection in light of the fact that there's been so much upheaval, I think is probably the word, when GFL sold to, I don't know who they sold to.
Priority.
Yeah, that is there for your consideration. We have several invoices from our lawyer's office that you can look over. And Mr. Daly brought to our attention that our parking spaces do not conform evidently with requirements, at least for the ADA. He sent along a picture of a truck that doesn't quite fit inside our parking spaces. So there's that he's notified us of.
There was a lot of rumbling about that on election day.
Was there?
Well, because we were outside,
Yeah.
so we heard people talking about it because,
We need
It was
Costco, we need Costco spaces.
yeah.
In between. You get carried through.
So I'm not sure how we go about
Oh, I-
doing this.
Already
You've already-
discussed that with Mike in terms of, there's some flaws in the lines already, and they still have not done the caulking, and that sealant that they were supposed to put on at 28 days, it's still not done. That's all going to be part of that.
I thought you probably, you had addressed it in your supervisor comments, really, all about that, but.
Okay, call to the public.
I got one. Hi, I'm Brant. I've already signed it. On the private road ordinance, given the time, painful, probably not the words, but to watch is, when we met with the firehouse, how often we were meeting, like we were doing the planning? Once a week, once every 2 weeks? process during the build. It seems like something like this would work well with Shree. I mean, Shree's immensely talented in detail, as we see. Yeah, but I don't think that the board meeting is actually the best venue to watch or edit a Word document for 3 hours, for 2.5 hours. If you did it in a special meeting sense, you could meet every once or 2 weeks, speed the timeline up, and possibly it's a good time to rehash all that language. It's food for thought.
Thanks. Looking for a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, concerns of board members.
Is there a plan set from our parking lot design that's readily available?
I can send it to you electronically.
Okay, that'd be great. Just, you know, did they do the paint lines for what the plan was?
I think the lines on the plan were just placeholders
Shouldn't have been.
as they spaces.
It should have been legitimate spaces.
Well, what bothers me is that somebody didn't use their yardstick, and the lines are not equally spaced out there. And that should have been a calculation of where the edge of the cement was, you know, each space from that point out, measuring from some point, and that was not done. It's a subcontractor. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.